In the constantly changing world of fundability, the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs and real estate investors like us, ones who want to grow our businesses and who are tired of paying for really expensive alternative lending, how do we tap into the most inexpensive money available and do it without the hassle of typical borrowing? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. Welcome to the Get Fundable podcast with your host, Merrill Chandler.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I keep my promises. You know that. I'm here with Flame Newton. Now, a little bit about Flame, and I'll let you kind of get his story about how he came into this space. But I met Flame at FICO World. So we're tooling through FICO Worlds usually like 4 days long. And day one, day two, I keep seeing this guy looking just like this, going to the exact same FICO World seminars that I'm going to, right? It's all consumer credit, right? It's all score modeling, all these things. And I'm like, so pretty soon we're out in the hall outside of one of those, outside of one of the seminars. And I'm like, so who are you? We're in the exact same courses. Who are you? Tell them who you are, Flame.
Oh man, listen. One thing I can say is that, and that's a true story, by the way. And that was at FICO World where we did meet. Kept walking by each other, and as we was walking by each other, we did kind of figure out who's who from that. And these type of things, they start relationships. So for you guys that don't know, if you're at home right now, if you're actually trying to figure it out, or regardless of what industry that you're in, right? Make sure that you get out of your environment and go to other elements, whether it be a conference, a convention, right. All of these places, because you meet some wonderful people at these places. And I met my guy, Merrill.
So Flame, tell us a little bit about you, because I got some great questions for you, because we kind of have some of the everybody knows my background in the business, right? They know where I actually invented, fundability optimization, where all the magic happened. So tell us your story. Because I want our audience, we're almost 15 to 1,800 downloads every month right now of this podcast.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, so we hit our 50,000. I'm like, okay, we're now somebody, right? We've been somebody in the credit marketplace, but now in the podcast, boom. So tell us where you came from, how you came to be a credit master.
Oh man, listen, first and foremost, man, shout out, man. I'm going to shout out to all the people that came before me, because there's been some greats, and I follow them as well. My journey does not come from the accolade of where it does not come from the accolade of where I had bad credit and I became a credit guru because of bad credit. I do not have that accolade, nor do I have the accolade of the essence of where I went to Harvard, Yale, or Brown, and I got some type of business or credit degree for whatever works. It didn't. Actually, I was named one of the most despicable human beings known to mankind. And I have to say it just like that, because I was a person that robbed people and I murdered them while they were still living. Listen, a terrible thing. And I'll make sure I'll say it on every platform that I've ever been on. I was a person that actually stole identity. So if you've never met an identity thief before, I was that guy, right? Which landed me a stint in going to federal prison.
We didn't meet there, you guys.
No, we didn't meet there.
We didn't meet there.
Yeah. So, but it landed me a stint in federal prison. But one of the things is that as I was there, a lot of the guys kept asking a question, saying to me, man, as I would talk and I talk about this credit journey and talk about the power of credit, the guys would be there. So you got to understand, 80% of the people are in prison are there for some type of a monetary crime. And when I would sit around and talk about this credit thing, their eyes would blow up. And they left me saying these words. These words were, as according to them, man, I sure wish they would have taught me credit while I was in school. And so that helped inspire the School of Credit. And that's how we got to this journey here.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys. So we have, birds of a feather, they say, right? Like kinds attract. So this gentleman, show him your book. This gentleman wrote because he wanted people to be able to learn it in school. He actually named his book The School of Credit. It's 12 grades of credit, correct?
Yeah.
Including kindergarten.
Exactly. So yeah, and I did the book under that record because it was always, I remember I was in my cell right, with my cell buddy Tommy. Shout out
I
to
love talking to you about this stuff because it's so true for me too. I'm in my cell.
Yeah. So I was in my cell buddy, shout out to him. I always got to shout him out of Holly Springs, Arkansas, my man Tommy Woodford. And we were sitting in the room and I was just rocking. I was like, the school of credit, the school of credit. And I said, this is a place where we can teach credit on grade levels, where each grade level will represent and teach something different in the whole credit system. Right. And I said, that's what we want to bring to the forefront. And so that's how you got the book, The School of Credit. Learn and master the 12 levels of the American credit system. Yeah.
Thank you. So tell me, because we have a similar past, but more importantly is tell them what was the turnaround, right? None of us like to spend time in jail, but what was the turnaround? What was happening inside when this idea came to you? Because you guys know my idea came to me because there's nothing to do while you're sitting in your cell, right? Sure. There's the weight room, and then there's your cell, and you eat 3 times a day. Not a whole lot is going on, right? So what was it that turned you around from that version of working that side of identities to now building powerful, fundable identities and building the school of credit idea? Man, what happened inside?
Man, that's a great question, by the way, too, Merrill. Let me tell you something, and being frankly honest, it was the way that I was received from other individuals. When you start talking about this credit system and you can understand about the power, how it can change people's lives, change people's families, and about everyday occurrences of information that you know or I may know is actually a foreign information to other people, right?
They have no clue yet.
No clue. So when you get into these types of environments, when you give them this information and you seeing what the outcome of it is, which is actually what we call results, which is what we want to also say, proven receipts from what they've actually do. Now they start to talk about it and they rave about you, and you feel like now that you actually do have a purpose.
You're making a difference in somebody's life.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden that difference in one person's life turns into 10 and 100 and 1,000 and tens of thousands. And by the way, there's always self-interest. There is nothing that feels greater than seeing 200 people on one of our episodes or 200 people who are on a Facebook Live or Instagram Live. And then all of a sudden they're like, we just served them. We just gave them a nugget. I'm announcing next week, we're doing a Credit Myths Exposed podcast, another podcast. Man. There's over 500 episodes on this podcast, right? But we're busting down all the myths, misrepresentations, misunderstandings, so that people, and then telling them what the insider secret is behind it, right? So you've done the very same thing in the School of Credit. Oh, and by the way, he just finished translating it into Spanish. So all of our Hispanic and our Latinx clients and followers, I'm telling you, the Escuela de Crédito is in Spanish as well, too.
Listen, and that's one of the things that I think that when it comes to me and you, when we get into this credit world, and I think there's a separation between church and state. And the reason what that is because a lot of times when people are talking about the credit game, they're not giving them the whole thing. They're not telling them actually how to build out a business, what goes into the business. People want to try to figure out a way to get into the credit game by bypassing certain things. They want to be able to take the freeway. What we're teaching is you got to take these streets and learn how to go from stoplight to stoplight and understand about how to stay under the speed limit while you're going through these small towns.
Follow the rules and succeed.
And so when you start talking about building up business credit, getting yourself fundable, right?
Are you effable? Are you effable? Are you effable? I'm just asking.
but that's and that's where it comes down to, is because when you share the same morals and beliefs pertaining to being able to access the money or being able to get directly to the money, that's where the separation becomes in at. So you guys right now, I don't know where you at in your journey, but I can tell you now, by you tuning into this type of podcast, right? I'm excited to be here with Merle. Listen, there's a lot of information that he provides on a daily occurrence. You can just listen. I ain't got to say no more. It's already there, you know?
All right. So you found, from what you're saying, as you started talking to your cellie and to your bunkmates and to everybody, you started seeing their lights go on, right? The light in their eyes are like, hold it. What? What'd you just say? and you began to find this purpose. So when you get out, when you got out of federal detention, what was your first step, your second step in starting to get to this kind of awesome? What was your journey? Because you get out and you're on probation, all these things are happening. What was it that started making the moves?
So one of the key elements of things that I used to do, and I used to pride myself on, was I'm an actor of facts. I love facts, right? And so there's no better place to get facts than going to a place that has a law library, right? The law library gives an outcome of a case. So I would go in and I would study a lot of these cases that was detaining with the credit. Listen, first of all, let me tell y'all a secret. I didn't know how much that these credit bureaus sue each other, or people suing them on a daily occurrence. There's so many different lawsuits that goes on constantly. So I would actually get into this. And when you're starting to develop something, right, and people are seeing that you on a particular topic, you know what they want to do? They want to hover around you and seeing what are you doing, right? And so when
I
want
to know, because it sounds something they've never heard before.
Exactly. And so I would sit there and I would talk about this credit stuff, but not just talk. They would see the action of me being in these places. I will always, when they come up to me in the library, I would have books and books about credit just around me. And so what happens is, as you did too, Merle, I would go through a lot of these books and be like, man, this ain't true. This ain't accurate, right? And so what that does is, now what happened now is, inside of the library, a library is a public place where people will come in and people will hold things such as real estate rooms or these type of environments. And when they would come in there, they would see me with this credit. And then they said, hey, listen, do you mind, since I'm having an event here on Saturday, would you happen to want to come speak about credit? And then that started to birth that ideal to me and being able to put me in that position. So it started from the bottom. And really from the bottom, where I took a lot of free, I took a lot of them, right? But I'm able to get to those places to where now sharing stages with my man Merle at the largest credit convention in the country, which is CreditCon.
Yeah, we're at CreditCon right now. And so, here's what's fascinating. I love that you have your book in Spanish, because yesterday they did a meetup for Latinx and Hispanos, right? And so I speak Spanish fluently, and I'm standing there, and I gave every one of them a copy of my book, telling them that my book is also in Spanish. It's just a PDF. You got yours legit, man. You got your hardcover, but it's PDF that I want to get into the Spanish marketplace. Our commitments are the same. We want people to have access, and sometimes different languages require different approaches, right? Different folks have different access points, and that's what I'm thrilled that we're on that same path together.
Man, you couldn't have said it better. I mean, being able to take this information that we have and being able to share it to individuals such as you guys that are listening right now, that is one of the key marketplaces of what develop us and help us get stay on that right path to being able to make more contributions into this credit game. One thing I can tell you, first and foremost, it's lonely at the top. It can be, but what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to stay focused, because when you're listening to Merle talk and you're hearing him talk about are you fundable, there's a slew of things that you have to do in order to get into that situations. Some of those situations may be educating yourself.
Yeah.
And when I'm saying educating yourself, knowing the difference. Even when I tell them, when I walk into a bank, I heard somebody one day, they said, hey, I walk into the bank and I tell them I need some money. I said, I would never walk into the bank and tell them I need money. I need working capital. That's what I need. So we break down words and break down languages so where it means something to someone.
Yeah, especially because so there's rules of the game, you guys, but I always liken it to lenders have a love language, right? And walking in and saying, hey, I want some money is not speaking their love language, right? How do you speak their love language? By meeting their underwriting guidelines, by building a relationship with the bank, checking accounts, credit cards, then credit lines, right? Everything that we do is how do we speak the love language of the bank so they love up on us afterwards with cold hard cash.
Hey, listen, and that's facts. And so when you get into that component, Merle, that's the part I think that's where the separation is. For you guys at home, I'm about to share 4 things to you, and I never want you to understand these 4, and they all work separately in their own right. Number 1 is you. You are number 1, right? but you yourself give information over to a lender. That lender then takes that information and gives it over to the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus then takes the information that you give them, right, and to compile it up and send it over to credit scores, right? Yep. And now once you understand how you can articulate each one of those sections of that compound, which is you, the actual lender, the credit bureaus, and the credit scores, now you put yourself in a position to actually win. And I'm not talking about winning to a point that where you walk out of a bank with a folder. See, there's two ways to come out of a bank. Number one, you could come out with a folder, and number two, you could come out there with some money. Which one do you want to come out with?
I have come out way before I knew what I was doing, man. I would come out with a folder, be like, yeah, here's an application, and here's some brochures, and here's some other BS. Right now, it's like when you got this game down, you guys, now you're getting automatic limit increases, and they don't even send you a letter. It's just like, here's some more money, here's some more money. That's our end game, you guys. And to have several relationships, especially with business banks, several relationships simultaneously, each with $100 grand. Come on, man. What can you do with that kind of capital that's that easy to acquire when you know the rules of this game?
Exactly. And that's why we always make sure that we say these statements. If you're at home right now, I want you to write this down. If you're in your car, I need you to pull over, right? If you're at home in the mirror, take your lipstick, Miss Lady, and write it in the mirror, right? Listen, I'm going to share these words to you. And these words are inspirational at the highest level. And they're going to be able to take you in places that you've never seen. Always remember, it's not, listen to the words, it's not about how much money you have. It's all about how much money you have access to. So putting yourself in accessibility to going to get this cash so you can get into these working institutions, you're building that credit profile up so you can get into these places that you can start these relationships and bind their commitments that you never thought they even was possible.
Yeah. Amen. Right. I love it. Miss Lady, right with your lipstick on the mirror. So here's what's so hilarious. When I look at us, because we're looking at ourselves while we're doing this podcast, we look like, what sport are we commentators on? Right? We totally look like we're covered. Frank, that rebound was crazy. He just nabbed it out of the opponent's hands.
Oh man, I tell you, man, that's you guys right now, man. I really do want to see you get on this journey. But the way that you get on this journey is you got to start. You start with actionable things. One of the first things that you can do in order to start, right, is making sure that you contact Merle, you contact his team, seeing about how can you be a part of what they have going on. For one, I've been a part of him when he has his weekly webinars that he pretty much does. I think he does a monthly, right?
The boot camp,
Get Fundable Boot Camp, Get Fundable Boot Camp. And when he's doing that, right, you guys got to understand that's just a small commitment to what he's got going on. And you guys are going to gain so much information from just attending things like that, purchasing the book, being in environments where this information is correlated, but it also puts you in other elements with other people that are trying to learn at the same time as well. And so
who also have resources.
Who also have resources as well.
It's a community, guys, because we're not just the mystics on the mountain, right? We want to make sure that all you guys have access to like-minded people. So where do people get a hold of you? Where do they get your book? Tell us how they can, because right? The School of Credit. Hey, my book's like almost 200 pages. His like 1,437 pages. And every damn page is gold.
And listen, man, where you can meet me at, I want you to write this down now. So if you're at home, I want you to write this down. It's called meetflame.com. Meetflame.com. That's it. We make it meetflame.com. And that's the perfect place to go. Yeah, that's you just go there. All my contact information is there. The way that you can purchase the book, ways you can get into the court, anything that I got going on, my contact phone numbers, email addresses, whatever you want to be a part of. And also, listen, making sure that you get into contact with this guy. Man, he's got a world of information. He's one of the guys that I look up to in this game. And I'm gonna tell you a secret. It ain't too many people that I look up to in this game. You know what I mean? But guess when you because we know, at the end of the day.
The credit repair, great granddaddy. Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you for joining us. Always. Flame, it's always a pleasure. Share a stage, share a mic, share some to break some bread together. Yeah. We've done it all. You guys make sure that you love, share this with anybody who's in your world. Make sure that you share this comment because everybody deserves to have this information. And thank you for joining me, man.
Man, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm
joining.
very much appreciative for the opportunity. Make sure you guys hit me again at meetflame.com. Other than that, make sure that you sign up for the boot camp. Man, listen, I enjoyed it. Hey, listen, I got to get out of here, man. It's CreditCon 2022. You're missing the blast, and I got to go. Peace out.
You guys, thank you for joining me, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Get Fundable podcast. Please leave comments because Merrill would love to read about your aha moments from this episode. And be sure to visit getfundable.com to read our blog, get important links, join our community, and much, much more, like ordering Merrill's tell-all book that is changing the world, The New F Word. And you got to tell your friends about this podcast because we want them to get fundable too.